Squirrel.
Hey, y'all. Hey, Spencer. We're swapped around again.
Huh?
We're swapped around again.
Yep, I know you do it on purpose. Hey, y'all.
I can't. Hey, y'all.
What? What are you doing now?
I don't know if he knows or not, but I can see him dancing down in the little screen at the bottom.
No, it wasn't me.
Oh, gosh.
Look,
Hey, everybody.
Shame you couldn't recorded that for everybody to see.
We got people live. Shane and Brian in the background, just like partying like it's 1999. Misty comes out laughing at our guest. That's how. How is everyone?
He was getting down, I'm telling you.
Shane like the intro, or he's listening to something else. Anyway, so today, well, y'all know these people. We might as well pull them out. We got Mr. Shane Church and Mr. Brian Hulan from Southern Bigfoot Alliance, right? Mm-hmm. See, right. I always think the Cryptoholic Show, but the Southern Bigfoot Alliance thing is their Facebook page, and I always click on that. I find a lot of good stuff on their page. If you're not on their Facebook page, the SBA, we'll put a link to that in the description, and y'all definitely go sign up for their Facebook page. It's great. They got a ton of content on there. But hey, guys, how are y'all doing today?
Good. I like your intro music.
Yeah, thank you. That is Mr. Chris Reinhardt made that for us. Misty doesn't like Chris, but he does a lot for us.
Stop telling people that.
Wow. What?
Right. That's a
Stop hating on Chris.
Chris, you know, he knows. He sends me crap about you. He knows that I like him. I mean, come on. I like you guys' intro, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, our good buddy Tim made that for us, or I guess he performed it for us. Shane, it's a funny story. Is Tim sent that to us in private, and you can't have a friend that's a graphic artist like Shane because he'll do stuff to embarrass you. So Tim sent that to us, thinking he was just being funny. And next thing you know, Shane's got it all ready to go, and it's our new intro song. So
I like
now
it.
we can't get away from it now. So.
Yes. Shane's a good graphic artist. I like a lot of good stuff. I was thinking whenever I was putting Shane sent me a damn file that came on like a Photoshop, and I had to transfer that to an MP4 to put it on here. And I was like, man, I hope I don't mess this up because he's going to get pissed off because he's an artist and everything looks so good and it's proportionate and everything. I'm like, please let this come out right. Shane had me working at like 7 a.m. this morning trying to get the video right. And I'll tell you something else. For those of y'all that don't know, if you don't watch their show, whenever they do it, their podcast, the Cryptoholic Show, their format is a lot like ours. They're pretty laid back and everything. And also, like us, they actually get their butt out there in the woods and look for these things. They found some really impressive stuff. So I like, I can relate to what they're saying and the way they do the show and everything. Oh, Misty got it on the little Chiron thing at the bottom. We'll put a link in the description. But anyway, I hope everybody is doing okay. We'll get going. Brian, Shane,
yeah.
How did y'all meet? And how on earth did you get into Bigfoot?
Oh, wow. You want to go, Brian?
Well, it was love at first sight.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'll go. So Shane and I were part of another organization, which we won't name, but we kind of teamed up with a few guys out of Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and kind of found ourselves, gravitating towards each other, as a small group, and decided that we wanted to do things our way and do it a little different than the way a lot of groups were going at that time. With all the, it was a big deal about secrets and nobody was really sharing information. No one was really seen to be working together. The community was kind of standoffish to a certain degree. And so we just kind of got together and decided we'd do it a little different. And so we started SBA and went from there. And it's just kind of taken off. And a lot of the same members are still there, but there's a few that are mostly just Shane and I now, and Kim. Everyone else is kind of taking on new projects. So
Yeah, we started off with 6. It's mainly Brian.
am I lagging?
I don't know. I don't think so.
No.
Of course, we got Tim and Darren are also admins. Also, I love our team. I love our team of guys, and actually, and we hadn't done it in a while, but we did a open invite, and we actually got chastised for this when we first started doing this, because we don't own the woods. There's no way in hell we can investigate all those miles of woods. So we're like, we're going to have open invites. We're going to bring in some more people to get to know them. And like just recently, we added some pretty great minds to our group. I'm excited. We got a hell of a drone flyer. Kid is FAA permitted and everything. Like he's great. And I don't know. You just got to keep growing your team, and it's got to be with great people. I feel like you guys are great people. Just Spencer, just talking to you just for a little bit, man. I was like, this dude's cool. I can hang out with this guy.
Thank
you.
It cracks me up that y'all keep saying like the Bigfoot community was like this. They didn't want to share secrets. They were all drama. They were getting at each other's throats like it's past tense and like that hasn't carried on. Mm-hmm. Brian's like, we just said the hell with it and formed our own little group.
Yeah.
That's pretty much why we stay a private group.
Yeah. I mean, it has got.
We try to keep all the troll guys, we'll burn them off the earth if they come in and whatnot. But, the last word in our group is alliance. Like we try to ally ourselves with other groups. It's not just about us, it's about everybody and being a collective and trying to figure this thing out instead of being first.
I like the way that you actually openly discuss a lot of the stuff that you do and the way that you do it, and like you show the stuff that you've collected, and you talk about your stuff from a very relatable point of view. I agree wholeheartedly that if the whole community, if we don't get together and stop taking sides, if we don't share information and, just have like some common respect for everybody else, nobody's in charge. Like what you were saying about the woods, there's no way that we don't own the woods. You can't stop somebody from being in your area or whatnot. But until we get to a point where we start sharing more stuff and everything, we're just not going to grow. We're not going to learn anything new is my point. So
exactly,
you guys have caught some monster tracks, in my opinion. I mean, I've looked at the pictures for a couple years now, pretty close. I mean, you got great detail in them and everything. Mm-hmm. And I know you've also had other experiences. In fact, Brian, you were on some YouTube show not that long ago talking about the one that you and another guy saw. I don't know when that was, but the show you were on was not that long ago talking about that. So let's just kind of start at the beginning. Whenever you got together and started doing your own thing, where'd you go? What'd you look for? What'd you find? Walk us through it.
Well, when we first, so we chatted for a while.
I mean, in the beginning,
Go ahead, Brian. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Shane.
Oh, so
you're on a roll, buddy.
you know, at first, we chatted like this, chatted on Messenger. You know, we'd send gifs of poop and whatever the boys do when we first start hanging out, and gifs. I remember I woke up one morning, there was nothing but gifs. We communicated all day with gifs, but we ended up meeting together in Falk. That was our first trip. We all met in Falk, Arkansas, and that was an awesome trip. We hit Mercer Bayou. We looked for the Hermits Islander area, but we actually went the opposite way because you can get lost out there, and the gators they reign in that swamp. But that was just a great trip. We just got to know each other a little bit better when you see someone face to face. Yeah. And I knew then, I was like, man, this is a great group, man. This is a great group of guys. And after we left, I think it was what was it, Brian? Let's see, that was in 2017. It was summer of 2017. And then in November, Brian went. Was it November 2017 when you took your brother or your son hunting? Or was that the next year?
Yep. Yeah, that's when we started getting into the bison area that we call bison in southeast Oklahoma. And November 2017 is when we collected the audio file of the two, and my son had the experience there. Of course, he's not a Bigfoot guy. Still to this day does not believe in Bigfoot. But we did collect that audio sample, and then we really started focusing our attention on that area and southeast Oklahoma, kind of around the Smithville, Oklahoma area, north of Broken Bow and Hochatown, all the fun stuff that people kind of know about in that area. Kind of hit that area pretty hard, aggressively. I know I recorded all my trips in 2018, and I stayed there 62 nights in 2018, and it's remote. It's not great campgrounds. What's that, Spencer?
Right. No, that's a great day. That's a lot of amount of time in that area.
It is, and we didn't get a lot of evidence as far as like footprints in there because of the terrain. But when you spoke about the sighting, that was in 2018. That was September 16th, and that was Tim Autry and I that had that visual.
So now, speaking of tracks in that area, real quick. So like the terrain there is very bad for tracks, but we like to hit the waterways. We like to hit the banks, and we were still green at this point, and we were trailing down Mountain Fork River, and we kind of saw like some little prints, so we kind of docked and got out and started looking at this print. It was it was smaller than this one. This is what Darren casted this on the Lone Star Trail, but it was smaller than this one. This is a little guy. And man, those tracks went like, I don't know, 80 yards down the bank and then cut into the brush. And when we followed it, it went right to a persimmons tree where it was all beat around that tree. And it looked like there was some kind of stick wedged in there. We didn't take pictures of none of this stuff. We didn't have casting material. We were just like, oh, hey, look what we found,
I found a Trackway. Well, I found a track and possible structure right around a persimmons tree once, and it blew my mind because there was manipulation, possible stick manipulation, making a sign of some kind right there at the persimmon tree, and I was like, that's really interesting. I don't know why they would have a need to mark like a possible food source. You would think that if they could find it, that there wouldn't be any need to mark around it. And mine was right by a creek as well. That's where I found the track. I found the possible track on the edge of the creek, and then followed some broken branches and stuff right up to that persimmon tree. That's really cool. So have you been watching that same spot like over the past couple of years?
Man, we haven't been back to actually. What was weird, that same day after we saw that track line, we canoed and kayaked further down to what we call the rock bar, and it's literally like an island made of white rocks. I mean, it's a rock bar. And Brian noticed like these big gouges that were spaced, 5 to 6 foot apart that went across the whole island, the rock bar. And this thing popped in my head like, what if there's a little one on the bank? He's going down to the persimmon tree because, he's not supposed to. And then Mama is like, oh, hell no, and ran across the rock bar to be like, hey, man, don't go to the persimmon tree today. Don't do it. Yeah.
Don't do
I
it.
don't know. It's just speculative, but you just got to look at I always look at all the coincidences, and then my brain just makes a little story in my head that kind of makes sense. It's probably not true, but you gotta start somewhere. You got to start somewhere with some kind of thought.
Sure. Well, so Brian, the sighting you were talking about with the other guy that y'all had, that first of all, if you wouldn't mind going over it again, I would like for you to talk about that. And also, was that like your first sighting where you actually laid eyes on what it might be a booger?
Okay, so earlier that year, I had an incident where we were walking through a little, kind of like a little canyon, and I saw what I thought was something standing up towards the top of the ridge, and I couldn't positively identify what it was. So, we talked earlier off air about wild horses in that area, and so I quickly just labeled it as a wild horse. I just said that had to been a wild horse going up over the hill. I just removed it from my mind because he's going to be a Bigfoot at that point, right? So you want to try to keep it pretty clear. And so that was probably June or July of 18. It could have been as late as August, honestly. And then we go forward to September. We did a big open invite. It was a 4-day event. And we, like Shane was saying earlier, we do these open invites, and it's a way for us to kind of recruit people. So we'll put this out there and we'll get all these strangers to show up. We'll take them in the woods. We'll hang out with them, cook, whatever. And then we can kind of select some people that we want to bring into our little inner circle. And so we did that. It was a Thursday, or no, I think it was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And Tim and I happened to be off on Monday. So everybody left out of there on Sunday. And Tim and I were going to spend one more night. And we had our tent set up at what we call Camp 1996. It's named after that because a hunter saw a Bigfoot in 1996. So just corny little names that we make for these little camps spots. Anyways, through our time there, we kind of noticed some things with hardwoods, pecans and walnuts. There's some black walnuts out there in far eastern Oklahoma. And so Tim and I were talking about checking a new area. Let's just run in here. Let's check it out, see if there's a spot for us to camp. The next time we're back, we can maybe try that. We take an old Jeep trail to a dead end. And when I say Jeep trail, it's a forest road, basically, is what it is. And it's ways off the highway. I think it's about, maybe Shane can clarify something, it's maybe 30, 45 minutes from the highway to this road of just gravel and national forest. And so we pull up there. Tim and I jump out. We're looking around, seeing if there's a spot to set up camp. And as we kind of walk down the hill a little bit, just kind of kicking around looking, this deer just comes running right by us. I mean, she's like full speed, running as fast as she can, looking behind her, never even notices us. And so we thought that was strange. And I thought, man, maybe something's chasing her. Maybe it's a coyote or a bear, whatever, Still, not even thinking Bigfoot. And so we're waiting to see what the predator is, what's chasing her. And she just blazes by. And everything just gets, and I know a lot of people talk about this, but I'm talking just deathly quiet. It's just like you can hear yourself breathing real easy. There's nothing moving. And I start hearing these little things fall, like to the ground. And Tim and I are like, what's that noise? And so I'm thinking it's rocks. He's thinking it's pecans. So we grab a handful of pecans, we throw them in the air. And I'm like, no, that's too light. That's not pecans. So then we start testing rocks. picking up different sized rocks, tossing them in the air. And what we figured out was the best thing that mimicked the sound was rocks about 1.5 inches in diameter. And so as we're talking, you got to keep in mind on one side, it's kind of a rolling hill area. So it's,
Mm-hmm.
you can walk down 10, 12 feet, back up. You can walk a couple feet, then back down. It's just these little finger valleys is what they are. And then on the left, it's kind of tapers off down into a bottom. And so the sounds are popping over to our left. And I remember Mr. Bill Coffin's a guy in our group who's been around chasing Bigfoot longer than I've been alive. And so I remember him saying, hey, these things are really big about distracting you. They want to distract you, get you moving, looking a certain way so they can escape. So as we're hearing this fall to the left, Tim takes off to the left. I start to take off to the left, and I remember that in the back of my head. So I quickly glance back to the right, and I just see this thing duck behind a tree stump. And all I saw was movement. I wasn't sure what it was. But as I'm looking at the stump, I see these two hands just around this stump. And that's all I can see. And so I'm staring at it. And then Bill's like, another thing he had told me, he said, try not to make direct contact with your full face. Use your peripheral vision or they won't move. So I decided to turn my body basically 90 degrees and use peripheral vision on my left. And as I'm doing that, I see this head just raise up above the stump and just stare at me. And Tim's over there kicking rocks on the ground, talking to himself, talking to me. I'm talking to him, but I'm not really paying attention to him. I'm super focused on what I'm looking at. And as he kind of turns or he makes some kind of movement, it ducks again real quick. So then I know, I was like, okay, I'm definitely seeing something, someone, I don't know for sure. And this is probably 60, 70 yards out. So I asked him to come over, and I always try to describe this the best way I can, but Tim's so close to me, it looks like we're about to embrace, like we're about to have a magical moment in the woods, right? This is how close he is.
I'm jealous.
Face to face. Yeah, Shane gets super jealous on this part, so you might want to take your headphones off, Shane. But it looks like we're getting ready to just make out in the woods. Like, I mean, just two grown guys about to have a good time, right? And so he's this close to me. And I said, Tim, I need you to see that stump to your right. And of course, he looked and he's like, yeah, I see it. And I said, okay, stare at me, use your peripheral vision and stare at that stump. And so Tim's looking. Tim's a little big guy, he's our little buddy. But as we're both watching this thing raises up and Tim's whole body just shakes. Like, I mean, he just shakes like a chill ran through him. And he's like, what the hell is that? And I go, I don't know, just keep watching. And then it goes back down and he's like, it moved again. And I said, I don't know, just keep looking. And it comes up and it's just staring at us. And then it goes down and he's freaking out at this point. And then after it goes down that time, we hear kind of a little bit of a rustle and we just hear these just bipedal just walk away. Now, everyone says, why didn't you run at it? Why didn't you go down there and check it out? I have no idea. I'm not going to lie. I have no clue why we didn't. We froze. We had no camera, no weapon or anything like that. We basically just stepped out of the truck to see if we could pitch a tent there one day. That's all it was. And we get back in the truck and Tim's going a mile a minute. He's rambling on about what it was. And I was like, no, we're not going to talk about it. We're going to go back to camp. So we start the drive from there to where we camp at. It's about a 45-minute, kind of a rough drive up to 96. We're driving along and I'm just quiet. And we get up there and he's like, man, we saw Bigfoot. And I said, no, you didn't. So we're going to continue our nighttime investigation. We're going to get up in the morning. We're going to do our breakfast. We're going to break camp. We're going to drive back. It's a 4.5 hour drive for us. And so we do that. We don't talk about it. We take the 4.5 hour drive back to Oklahoma City, and Tim's wanting to talk about it. And I refuse. I'm like, I'm not going to talk about it. We're not going to discuss it. Driving along, I don't say anything to Shane, Dustin, none of the guys. Like we have a group chat. We just say, hey, we're leaving. We're headed home. Don't say anything about it. Get closer to Oklahoma City, and I told Tim, I said, hey, it's Monday. I want you to think about it for a couple of days. Call me on Thursday and tell me what you saw. And he goes, okay. Dropped him off. And I think it was Thursday morning. He called me up and he goes, all right, you ready to talk about this thing? And I said, yeah, let's talk about it. I said, what'd you see? He said, you know what we saw? And I was messing with him. I said, yeah. I said, it's a big raccoon, wasn't it? And he goes, that wasn't a raccoon. It had hands. I said, oh, it was a bear. You know, there's a lot of bear down there. And he goes, why are you doing this? He's like, why are you trying to say it's a bear? You know, it's not a bear. And I said, well, what did you see? And he goes, I saw a Bigfoot. It was looking at me. And I said, you're right. I did too. And I said, how positive are you? He said, I'm 100%. And I said, well, I'm 99%. And I said, let's call the guys and let them know. So I think we did a group call that night or the next night and did a video call. And we told them what we saw. And I think not that week because it would have been the next day, but the following weekend we were back out there. Mm-hmm. And what had happened is that stump is on a slope. And so we went back to investigate. So whatever it was, and you could still see the leaves pushed down where this thing had slid down the hill, like on its belly or something. And I forgot one other detail. At the very last thing it did before it slid down is at the ground, it moved its head to the side of the stump and stared at me before it went down the hill before it slid back down. So couple of strange things. I remember the hands very vividly. I don't know why the hands stood out, but I never saw shoulders. And everyone always asked me, how big was this thing? How wide was it? I don't remember ever seeing shoulders. I don't know if it was turned a certain way or if I was super focused on hands and face that I just blurred the rest of the world out. But I cannot tell you how wide the shoulders were. Don't even remember seeing shoulders.
Well, Brian, last time I was out there, I actually went to where it was. That stump now it looks like it's been burnt out. I don't know if they did a control burn out there or what the hell happened, but it's just a shell. But I actually went and laid on that slope, and it's huge. It is absolutely huge, and you can put your hands like this, and it was probably just doing this, and everything else was hidden very easily. And
by the angle, by the slope.
Yeah, dude, because it's like this. Yep. As far as you can see, it's just rolling hills. Like, I mean.
What? Yeah. Brian, if you take the Bigfoot part out of that story, I just want to point this out for future interviews. If you take the Bigfoot part out of that story, you and Tim were face to face, two men looking like you were about to have a good time in the woods. And you told Tim, hey, I need you to look at my stump. And then on the way home, you said, no, we're not going to talk about it.
Yeah, you take it like
you need to rephrase that for future use.
You cut out a little bit. Yeah, you cut out a little bit. Yeah, I know. You cut out on it, but I kind of get the gist of what you were saying. Yeah. No, it was not a Brokeback Mountain moment or anything like that.
Part two, man. It was part two.
I do think though, it makes a really sorry, man. It makes a really good point though about hearing the rocks or some kind of distraction over here, and most people would go in that direction and be looking over there, and you had enough calm about you to go wait and turn around, look in the opposite direction, and that's where you saw this thing. I think it's also a really good point that it was 60, 70 yards away, which is kind of sounds like, if you listen to a lot of people describe their encounters, that kind of sounds like a comfort zone kind of thing. Like they don't like to get right up on you unless it's super thick, cover and everything for them to hide behind. And laying down on a slope, like peeking up over a slope, that's another commonality that you hear all the time. Can you describe it as best as you can remember it, what it actually looked like?
Spencer, let me throw a little twist on that. Did y'all ever measure the stump and see maybe the width? And could you kind of tell us if you had any idea kind of how the size of the head compared to the stump, and if that was human parameters on the head, or if it was bigger or smaller or whatever?
I do know this is when we went out there the next weekend, two of us could not fill the width void of wherever that thing, where it was laying.
I think we
two people
measured that stump. Yeah, we measured that stump, I think 12 to 14 inches. you know, depending on where it was, how it tapered.
Dude, I
Its
literally
head
think
took up
he
that
was
full
just
space.
his
So
hands were like this, and he's way down here, and he's just, you know. I mean, hey, was that good, Brian? I did good right there, right? That was good. You see
I
that?
thought it was good.
yeah,
Thank
you
you,
did good.
Spencer.
You froze on me a little bit, but you did. Uh,
Oh.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, as far as going back to the skin, Spencer, it was jet black, and I remember it being shiny. There was a little bit of sheen to it, so it looked as if it was oily. And I know at that distance, it may be why I can't remember seeing this, or the fact that I don't know, maybe it doesn't exist. I don't remember seeing any whites to the eyes. It seemed like they were just all black. So I don't know if it was just, you know, that distance or what, but I just remember everything being black and the hair being either a dark brown or black. There was no red to it or anything like that. The hands, very human like fingers, but once again, like a shiny, like an oily black skin. Um, I've seen a couple of photos, like people that posted of like renderings and things like that. Kind of, I don't want to say like a aboriginal, but something similar to that. Definitely more man than monkey. I will say that.
Really. Uh, hold on one second. Hey, to everybody that's in the chat, thank you very much. I need to pay attention and start actually announcing thank you to the moderators that are in there doing what you do throughout the chat and everything. Appreciate y'all being in there as well as everybody else. Sorry, Brian, I'm bad about forgetting about the moderators and the people in chat. I just get engrossed listening to the guests.
Yeah.
Whenever you just said that it was definitely more man than like an ape and everything, do either one of you, are you like the people in your group, are you in consensus that these things are, I mean, do you think that they are an unidentified primate like an ape? Do you think they're a kind of person? I mean, do you have any like group thoughts on that where you all kind of agree on something?
No, because we're all so different minded, and I think that's what makes us work the
Cool.
way we do. I love when we find something, because you're gonna have everybody's got their own opinion, and usually it's different.
Yeah.
We don't argue, but we talk about it, and usually we leave with something pretty
Yeah,
good.
we disagree.
You know?
We disagree a lot.
Nuh-uh.
That's good though. I mean, it really you need
Yeah,
that.
we
Yeah.
do. Yeah, we do. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's a checks and balances for us, right? And so Shane's going to look at things a little bit different than how I'm going to look at things, whereas Tim will, or Dustin, or whoever, Darren, or whoever it may be. We get out there, and we all have different backgrounds and different, you know, like I grew up hunting and stuff like that my whole life, and so Shane, being very visual and artistic, he's going to see things different, and so we're able to kind of pull. And if Shane starts to see something one way, I can say, well, this is what I think, and then Shane may go, oh, I didn't even look at it from that perspective, you know, or and vice versa. So I think it works good. Personally, for me, I think it's a type of people, you know, Neanderthal type based or something like that. I'm not in the monkey group, and I'm not saying that in a negative way to anybody, because I don't know. I'm no expert, like you said early on. There are no experts, but just based on what I saw, I felt like I was looking at another person, and I did not feel threatened or anything like that. It didn't look like it wanted to eat me or rip me apart or anything like that. It just, I don't know if the thing was chasing the deer and we just interrupted the hunt. Maybe he was just kind of frustrated at us for being in the wrong place at the wrong time or whatever. But you know, he wasn't throwing rocks at us. He was just trying to get us to go a different direction.
He was deterring you, and that deer ran right by you guys. So, you know,
literally,
usually when I'm in the woods, deer are running from
close.
us. You know?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
the deer was so close. I'm not exaggerating. We probably could have grabbed the deer. That's how close it went by. Like if we wanted to, we could have just sprung on the deer. It never noticed us. It was such a hurry to get away from whatever it was that was chasing it. So,
Do you think the deer didn't notice you, or do you think the deer was possibly running towards you as like some kind of protection?
no, I think just the way we were kind of going down those little finger valleys, it was its quickest path to get away from that area, and we were on the downhill side of that. So it was using that downhill just to gain speed. I don't think it ever noticed this, honestly. I think we just happened to be standing there. So
I have to ask just to make sure. While all of this transpired, did you have the creepy feels? Did you get anything extra sensory, anything that people would relate to, like, woo, not in a negative term, but anything other than, to you, did it feel like a physical, biological thing that was just sneaky?
I think Brian has a delay.
yeah, you cut out there at the very end, but I think what you're asking is, no, I didn't feel. Yeah, I do have a delay. I didn't feel anything like there was some kind of superpower or anything like that, and I'm not saying that in a negative way
Right.
either. But it really, to me, it just felt like there was another guy in the woods, and he was standing there looking at me, and I was looking at him. I mean, I almost felt like I probably should have gave the dude a head nod and just been like, "Hey, what's up?" I didn't feel anything creepy or anything like that. It was just different. Let's just put it that way. So,
If either one of y'all ever had any of these things come in like close to you, like even though you couldn't see it, that you kind of pinned it down, that they would come in maybe in a thicket or something, come in close to you? Have y'all ever had them come up close?
The only time I can remember anything like that happening was when we were out there near in Bison on Mountain Fork River. It was the last night we were there, about 2:30, 3 in the morning. There was a lot of us there on this run. We had a dog with us, a beagle, and the beagle, man, it never bayed or barked at night or anything of that nature. Well, I know I heard it. I know Dustin did, because Dustin was really close to it. You hear something walking in camp, and I'm like, oh, maybe it's one of the fellas. It was a different kind of walk, though. It was very swift, quiet-like, and it lifted up the grill, because we brought a gas grill out there. So not too many things lift up a grill. And then the dog bayed in a way that was alarming. And I don't know, Brian, I don't think you got out of your tent. We talked about this before. But we got out. We started looking around. We're like, holy shit, man, there's something in camp. Like, there's something amongst us right now. And not too long after getting out of the tents, Tim Autry, this is the first time he came out with us too. He got hit right here with a rock. Projectile, really? Horizontal projectile, right in the back of his head with a rock. And we could not find this thing. I think we're just like completely useless in the woods compared to these things. I think we are, dude. I think they're like, look at these idiots. Look at this one.
Throw a rock at them and see if they dance.
Where's all their hair? They're ridiculous looking. It's just. Well,
the part that you just added right there totally rules out a bear. I mean, bears don't throw rocks.
Right.
I mean, what animal? I want somebody to show me what known animal throws rocks, other than maybe a monkey or something. But
a bunch of armed guys in the woods, that's like the dumbest thing to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Y'all ever researched Panther Creek? Yeah, we've been over there. Mm-hmm. Gary Spike Sr., is that Gary's dad?
Yeah. We've been there with your son, Gary.
Yeah, we were there with your kid. Yeah.
Gary Spike Jr. Yeah. Gary. Gary. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, Gary was there that night when the rock incident happened. Yep. He was there. So, yeah, I didn't get out of his tent though.
Gary didn't get out of his tent either. He just went, "Hey man, y'all know what y'all need to do?" I was like, "Get back in there, Gary. You don't know what you're doing."
Scott. Your brief brush with Hollywood stardom.
Oh,
our
wow.
brief brush with Hollywood stardom.
We could go on for a whole 5 hours on that stuff.
Yeah, I'll let Shane go into that.
I'll tell you what, right now, after filming with a production company that does stuff with history, travel, a lot of these shows that people watch, we were on the other end of that camera. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's a lot of bullshit that goes with all that. They want you to do some Scoob and the Gang stuff. They want you to do what they want you to say. They want you to use their flashlights that are gelled for the cameras that are shit. They want you to say things in front of the camera. And I'm just going to say, there's shows like Finding Town Hall Meeting that do these things, And after that, I can't watch I can't watch a show because I can almost tell you when they stand up or do something, I was like, that was on cue. That was on cue. That was ridiculous. And the thing was with this show, it was fun. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we had a guy hanging out the car with his camera shooting me tearing ass down logging roads in the Jeep. I was with my kayak on top. Bo and Luke Duke and that shit, it was fun. But when it came down to it, they wanted us to push the making up stuff. They wanted to push it big time. Like they wanted Brian and I to be in a tent. They were going to throw rocks at the tent, and we were supposed to be like, "Oh, it's Bigfoot, man." Well, number one, Brian and I, we don't sleep in the same tent unless it's cold. But we just weren't going to do that. We weren't going to sell out, man. We didn't sell out. That's the number one thing. We didn't sell out. We weren't going to do it. Why? All of our evidence, all that stuff would have been tarnished to me. It just would have been not right.
You're telling me that the Bigfoot shows I see on TV are bullshit?
There's some bullshit in those shows.
Come on, you are just blowing me out of the water here.
I'm not saying that they're not seeing anything because they are in the woods. They're probably on the trail. But I'm gonna tell you right now, when you see Cliff get close to the camera and start spouting off shit, that's just a big bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
Not finding anything.
Hey, for everybody that watches this video right now, this is why we have real people on. This is why we have real people on. Oh, he walked away and got something.
And don't get me wrong. Right there. That's my one check I got.
The check.
There's my name.
That's my one check.
Race for Bigfoot.
INE Entertainment, Race for Bigfoot.
It must have been a big one because he never cashed it.
That's what I was thinking.
Oh yeah, no, I put that in the bank. What are you talking about, man?
No.
Oh,
I did a mobile deposit. Yo, I kept it. I kept this because I'm like,
that's right.
That's not very often.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say I cashed mine too. I ain't gonna lie. So
you don't get. It's not very often you get a check that says Bigfoot on it.
I kept the wardrobe.
Mark Green, that we all know personally, he and a handful of people that he knew, they were on Finding Bigfoot, and we've heard similar things, But hey, that's TV though. I mean, it is all about the numbers and entertainment value and everything. I can understand that.
Entertainment.
There's a lot of stuff on Facebook and YouTube. It's just people wanting that 30 seconds of fame and being popular and everything. I mean, I get it, but
now the guy that came up with this idea for the show, he was a good guy, man, and he really had a solid, truthful effort he wanted to convey. He really wanted to do something solid, but then the network's like, "No, we need them to, I don't know, slap each other with sticks and run around with tidy whities and say, hey, there's Bigfoot everywhere, man. We're just not going to do that shit,
I always thought the show would have been a whole lot better if they just focused on the real people that came to the town hall meetings and dove into that.
Thank you.
Oh
my God.
Let's hear this guy's encounter, and when we're done with him, we'll talk to this guy. They could have put out a lot better, more credible evidence instead of fabricating if that's what they're doing. But still, it would have been so much better. You think how many people all the meetings they went to, how many credible people? Sure, you're going to have to weed some out that's making it up and this and that, but still, people that are knowledgeable could have kind of weeded those out. And then guess what? The people out here that watched the show could have weeded the rest of them out probably, but it would have been a lot better show.
That's why I call it Finding Town Hall Meeting. Because that's the best part of the whole show was the town hall meetings, you know. And then you get these guys that are on TV, and it makes them, in some people's eyes, a sort of an expert. And so they go around to these conferences and they start discrediting people's pictures and saying that's fake and that's fake and you're fake and this is fake. But the thing is your ass is fake. And you're out there peddling merchandise that you didn't even cast. So I don't want to hear it. You know what I mean?
They're the only ones.
I'm sorry. Me and Cliff, we don't get along. I don't like that.
That's okay.
Like he might be the first man I want to slap. Seriously, I don't like this guy.
Really? I got a list. Yeah. Like on that scene in Billy Madison where the dude sits back and puts on lipstick and he's working names. I got a list. Not the putting on lipstick part, but I got a list.
Squirrel, he gets any worse, we're getting him tested for rabies. Have you noticed his raging lately?
What's wrong with him?
Y'all, I've been very upset for a few weeks. There's a lot of people that have gotten to me, and normally nothing gets to me, but I'm annoyed by some of the stuff. I'm like, this is just fucking idiotic, but that's a whole different thing. Hold on. Guys, we've got a hopefully perfect stream here that we got to play from Shane. And Shane, don't get mad at me if some of this stuff comes up messed up. But anyway, and you guys can talk about it as we go. Sure. So here we go.
Yeah, so this is our presentation from Honubby. I kind of cut it down, the creek. So Brian got the lead that led us to Squatch Creek. Brian, you want to talk about that real quick?
Yeah. I don't know how big it is out there for you guys, but morel mushrooms are a big deal here in Oklahoma. I was in a mushroom group. So some girl, she's like 24, 25 years old. She's out hunting mushrooms. She ran across 4 tracks. She posted them in the group, asked if anybody could figure out what it is. People made a lot of jokes. I messaged her, talked to her for a little bit, finally persuaded her into taking me to where these tracks were. And we cast 2 of the 4. So they were 16 inches in length. I believe they were 8.5 at the top of the foot and 6 around at the heel.
So yeah, that was the right and left foot on that day. I love this first time that this, because I didn't even go to this one. This was Brian and Tim. They made it out there and cast the tracks. I actually went the following weekend, which was even was cool too. Oh, were you gonna say, Spencer?
I was just going to say, how far apart were they? What was the stride length?
Well, I know that the 20. Go ahead, Brian.
I was going to say I had that documentation because like I said, I'm redoing the area here. It's not my normal setup, but I wish I'd have left that out because I had those measurements. Shane, you may have to jog my memory, but I wanted to say that they typically were measuring out around the 50 to 52 inch range.
Yeah, it was. I know that the 20 inch individual that leads the 20 inch tracks, that's 5 foot and some change stride, period, right there. So this is the 16 inch. We think there's 3, possibly 4 that migrate. I'm going to say migrate through this area.
That's a lot of plaster to make that one track right there.
Oh, dude,
that one cast.
The ones that you showed first, that looks a lot like what we find here. I mean, really, yes, and
with the splay toe and everything.
Oh,
well, I've seen it with the big toe would be turned, but the other toes wouldn't be splayed out so bad. That the one that you were talking about a second ago being around 16, and then the width was around 9, 8.5, 9, whatever. That's nearly spot on to one of the tracks that I found here. It was right at 16 long, and it was about 9 wide and about 6 or so at the heel. Yep.
That's about right. Yeah. Mhm.
They've got some photos in here that show the degree that they go to looking at this stuff. And you know, Kane Michael does one of the best jobs of analyzing evidence and really breaking it down. And again, these guys are right on par with Kane and all that kind of stuff. I'm telling you guys, if you haven't paid attention to their Facebook page and looked at the stuff that they present, Southern Bigfoot Alliance on Facebook, you got to watch their show just because it's fun and they're great people and they're very just like open and sincere. But the amount of evidence, the level of detail that they go to on the evidence is really impressive. So hold on, Greg, as to what you were just talking about. Well, this is a branch break, 8 to 10 feet.
Yeah, is this individual 8 foot 10 inches? I mean, this was right in between the second and third footprint, literally right above it. And you know these things walk a tightrope for the most part.
Yep.
So if you can look right above, you're going to get, you know, the coincidences. They lined up. That was a fresh green branch break, and it measured at 8 foot 10 inches. Is that its head? I don't know. It might be smaller.
Hey,
did it slap it? I don't know. You know.
Incidentally, on that branch break, what do you think the reason was for that one branch break in the trackway? Like, I think
it was just in its way. Mm-hmm. It's big. It weighs a lot. It's just a branch. It's just a branch. You know, it's gonna lug on. Okay.
Now,
I love this.
This is great. Yes, this is great. All right, so 2 different tracks right here, y'all.
Same foot. It's the same foot. Okay, it's the same left foot.
Look at the depression. Look at the curvature of the toes, stepping off of something and then just walking on a flat surface.
This is right.
And then look at this next thing that they did, which I think this is great. This is like a thinker thunker kind of thing.
Yeah, this is like layman's. This is ground zero. Look at that. Those toes are moving. Those toes are moving. And Cliff says that I made these damn things, not these in particular, but he thinks I'm out there and I've got thousands of dollars in animatronics, and you know, maybe I'm in cahoots with Stan Winston and Jim Henson, and I'm just going to drive my ass all the way to Oklahoma so I can make some tracks.
Now, on a couple of your casting, or at least one anyway, don't you have partial dermal ridges on the one cast?
You know, I want to say that we have those in our cast, but how do we know really though? You know, man. Like,
I agree.
I always think like this, Spencer. Like, we don't have a specimen, so all of us that are doing this, we're all still on step 1.
I'm just simply saying, like, in order to fake dermal ridges, can you imagine being out there in the mud, making an impression, then taking like an X-Acto knife
you're gonna
and like trying to fabricate dermal ridges, and they find this shit all across the country, and everybody's like, nah, that's somebody out there with wood cutouts.
Right.
Look at those tracks right there, people.
Those toes are moving. And when that individual stepped off the bridge with its left foot, it looks like those toes were anticipating the ground right there as it stepped. And then as it walked, as you can see on the right, those toes are straight.
Do you
that
know
right there? This exact picture right here got me so excited for this area that I just couldn't believe it that we were getting that comparison right off the bat.
I would too. Hey, can I ask you a question? Not trying to put you on the spot, but did you take individual measurements of length and width of all of the tracks?
Well, I don't think we've done that. Well, we've done them in total, in like the width. I haven't done the toes. I should do the toes. I should do the gap. I should do all. There's still a lot of measuring to do for sure, right? I mean,
My
And
my thing that I'm looking at right here, the photo on the left,
mhm.
you can visibly see indentations where it looks like different parts of the pad of the ball of the foot scrunched together on the outside, leaving that impression on the left. Is that the same one?
No, this one's different. This 16-inch lever is different because the big toe is different.
Hold on, we'll look at that whenever you're full
Sure.
screen.
It's actually in here too. It's in the presentation.
Oh, it is. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
That's just a replica.
Okay. Hold on.
Spencer, back one more thing on that picture.
Oh,
you
yeah.
had up. The one you just had up, the picture on the left.
Mm-hmm.
Notice out in front of the little toes right there. If you look right out in front of kind of where the toes actually where they stop, like the not the big toe, but the first small toe. Look at the end of that. You see how look at the dirt. You see how it's kind of cut nearly. It's nearly like it's cut with a knife. I have seen tracks right here that in front of where the toe, you could see where a toenail cut into the dirt.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love Greg.
Yeah,
Good job, Greg.
Yeah, if you look at them, look out in front of some of those small toes. See how it's kind of cut straight?
Mm-hmm.
On the one,
and that's
Hey, can I point this out real quick too? What I love about these two side by sides, I love this. Look in between the big toe and the first small toe. Look at the mud on the right. It is just scrunched up.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like just scrunched up,
and
that just shows that this is a organic thing. This is real shit.
if you could go back there right now today, looking at both of these in the same area, the measurement of the width on the one on the left would have to be a little bit less than the measurement of the width on the one on the right, where it's sitting down on a flat surface. But again, to your point, it's indications that it's a living organic thing and it's moving and flexing muscles and all that. You know what I mean? I think these are some of the best photos of tracks and documentation of tracks that I've ever seen. I've always liked these. I like this. I've seen you guys talk about.
I love this. So we cleaned up the cast. I noticed that little bump on the heel. I thought that was just a standalone indicator for this individual, creature or whatever, because none of the other ones had it. I don't know if it was an injury that healed, a callus, some kind of contusion. I don't know. I just know that it's there. And what's awesome, and you'll see it as you go through the pictures, and that up there, that's the hair that Brian got from this set of tracks. He actually pulled two. He pulled two hairs from these tracks. One of them was sent to Meldrum, and nothing happened. He just kind of, I don't know.
Here we go.
I don't know. That's if you guys have any evidence you want to send, you fill out the survey questionnaire that Darby Orcutt puts out, and if he likes your evidence, he will look into it for you. And he's got a team of scientists that all have different practicing backgrounds that are into the subject matter. Like, these guys are like the effing science Avengers of Bigfoot evidence. You know what I mean? Meldrum, sorry, dude.
The Avengers.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's okay. I don't even publicly. I don't want to get going on all.
Nah.
I got too much to say on all this. Look at that one.
So that was in June. Kendall and I showed up there about 45 minutes before Brian, and we walked the creek. We walked right past that. Didn't see it. 45 minutes later, Brian shows up. We're walking the creek. Brian notices it. Well, 45 minutes later, the sun has changed a little bit.
Yep.
So the timing is lighting with some of these things like that you were looking for on the ground. I mean, just got patience is definitely something.
I've seen People have tried to tell me, like, I've tried to learn tracking from people that have been to like Tom Brown Jr. and stuff like that. And they're like, oh, you got to hold a flashlight on the ground at this angle and, kind of crawl behind it. But lighting makes a big difference in the way that you perceive. Definitely 100%. It's just like taking pictures. How many times have you taken a picture of something and it just does not do it justice?
Go back a second.
This was such an alarming track, guys, because prior it was 16 inches that we measured, and then this one was 20, and then we're thinking about the 8 foot 10 inch tree break, and we're like, well, if the 16 inch track lever is 8 foot 10 inches, how big is this guy?
Right.
That's a deer track right there in it, isn't it?
That's a deer track, yes, ma'am.
And it's going the exact same way. So
well, there's a creek, so the deer's getting a drink of water.
Yeah, that'd be a doe track going the other way.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. The thing about it, what I'm looking at, guys, I mean, I know how hard it is to take a picture of a track and get it to show up on camera, and you can have one that you can see pretty good and take a picture, and you can't hardly get it to show up. And
yeah,
that's showing up really well, so I can't imagine what that would have been like seeing it firsthand.
Oh.
I stared at it for the longest time because I didn't believe what I was seeing, and and Kendall finally had to tell me, like, that's a 20-inch track, and I'm like, there's no way, that's not a foot, it can't be. And then we pulled out the tape measure, and I was like, sure as hell, that's a 20-inch track. And you talk about the picture, Greg, and we had to take several to get that. We had to be at the right height from the ground and be at the right angle, and you stand here and put a shadow here because you could stand over and take a picture and it wouldn't show up at all. So
have y'all started using LiDAR on your phones yet?
Yes. Yes. Down you can get a free, I'll send it to you. You can get a free app for the LiDAR thing. I sent it to everybody when I first found out about it, and it works great if you're anywhere in an area that has cell phone coverage.
Okay.
Oh, look, Larry Porch is in the house. Hey,
LP2.
LP2. I wonder if the blood's come back in his ears yet.
Not quite yet. I'll tell you guys, Kane, not to keep bringing up Kane, but Kane's my hero. He's got a track that, I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that it's the real deal. And I think Misty, was it 22 or 24 inches long?
24. Kane poured that one with cement. What amazed me, he said it took 60 pounds of cement to pour the track.
Oh,
and I think
he picked it up. He picked it up and held it, got it in front of him, and it covered his whole torso.
It's as wide as his chest.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's huge. Now, according to the experts, a track can't be more than 18 inches, or it's not.
Yeah, okay.
It's not in the data set.
It's not in the data set.
Kendall on cleaning detail.
Yeah, Kendall. Oh man, Kendall. He's the guy you want in the woods with you because he's like our resident botanist. Like he'll be walking through the woods and he'll throw something in your face. Go eat this. You're like, I want to eat that. He's like, just eat it, man. And you eat it. You're like, damn, that's good. He's like, I know. And he just keeps on walking.
That's like Misty.
You got to have different folks, right?
Like what you guys were saying earlier about having different opinions. Like Misty's like that. We all have common sense. She's like a fucking whack-a-mole, and we all have to listen to her and give her respect and everything and let her weigh in.
Hey, look, y'all, Misty's really, really attentive in the woods, and she does a wonderful job. It's just she got the name Squirrel because she'll peel off at any time, and
there's a reason.
She's back. She's like focusing on 17 things at one time.
All right.
But guys, like right there where you got that picture, and you can tell that looks like the soil's pretty damp and all that. How did, like, when y'all walk close to the same soil there, like y'all's body weight I'll compare like
So during this time, it was January. This is 2019. It was wintry mixed weather up in Oklahoma. This was not the kind of weather you want to really go cast tracks, because the casting material was like, oh, hell no, I'm not setting up in this shit because it's that cold. I actually took my shoes off and walked on this creek bed, and I weighed about 240 at the time. Man, I didn't leave nothing in the ground, barely any, just a disturbance, almost like a rubbed disturbance is what I left.
Yeah.
And these damn things are just punching right through that sand. This beautiful red Oklahoma sand that I just love with all my heart. I just love that stuff. Okay. And so Bill cast that track prior, and it stepped off the bridge. This is our 16-inch track lever. This is the one that this individual is the one that Brian cast in 2018. So now we've got them together. We've got a 16 and a 20-inch, and they're in the same place at the same exact time. Actually, there was two 20-inch track levers at the same time. So I don't know, and this could be speculative on my part, but I was looking at that big toe on Bill's cast. That little right there just below the big toe where it's kind of arrowheads, that just looks like a flexor tendon to me. I don't know. Maybe it's not. I don't know. Maybe when it stepped off, that all of that flexed enough and that actually poked through enough to leave an impression in the sand. I just thought this was just another great way of looking at these things, because that's all we have. All you have is a track, and then people, when in doubt, cast. I don't care what it is, just cast it, because when you take it out of the ground and clean it off, it's going to give you something totally different. It's like opening up a present to me. But I thought that was great. I thought that flexor, I thought that possible could be a flexor tendon was pretty cool, because I mean we share that same anatomy. I thought that was just pretty cool.
Squirrel, you got to give me hell over that last comment. Too many people were commenting about it in the chat, and they're wondering if you're feeling okay.
I'm listening, y'all. Hey, I'm just taking it all in.
I just got down there. She's pacing herself, y'all. Just give her a minute.
She'll light me up at some point. Hold on.
Here we go, people. Bill's track on the left, Ryan's track on the right. There's that same hill anomaly. I'm keeping track of it. It's right there.
That's crazy right there.
Like months later, almost a year later.
And the toes have moved. Just
like now I think because Bill poured that in the cold and it broke. Now he might not have put it together. Oh shit, Bill's gonna kill me when he sees me. Might not have put it together exactly right, but again, they could have been spread out, because we saw that in the first picture when we had the one stepping off the bridge. The toes kind of kicked to the left, anticipating the ground. So you know what? If their toes are as long as this, which they kind of seem to be. I mean, look how much movement we have.
Yeah.
Well,
you can imagine.
That's a good point.
It's going to also depend on if that thing was pushing forward, straight, left, right. Depends on its speed. It depends on if it was just a normal stride, or if it was standing still and took a step. You just look down at your own feet and watch your feet as you make a different movement.
Mm-hmm.
Our toes, even in here on this floor, your toes will make a different movement. It depends on which way you're having to apply pressure.
Yeah, exactly. You're exactly right. Okay, so Brian got this dude and Brian chatted. So on the very, very far right, this guy cast this track like 1 or 2 years before us even getting out to that area.
Yeah, I believe 2 years before we even knew this place existed.
Right. It's got the same thing on the hill, but it's smaller.
Shut up, Gary.
So is it like, is this thing just growing as it gets older? Is it a callus? Is it getting more calloused and built up more? I don't know, but we're showing the same anatomy here, and something's changing on it, which I think is pretty significant. Yeah, man, that toe, you can just see the blood pumping through that thing. It's amazing. And
That's
you can see on the very end too where a rock indented the end of the toe. And dude, I even did that with my own footprint out in the backyard. I cast my own print because I wanted a human size scale to what we have. And I didn't even feel it or nothing. But when I pulled that track, I got a big old dent in my big toe from a rock. I didn't even feel it. It's just because I have tissue. And it just moved. So it's going to leave an impression like that.
That's crazy definition right there.
Yeah. Yes, it is. 120-inch trackway. Yeah, that was great. So this 20-inch trackway, it led, this thing went off the bridge, I think it took 1 or 2 steps, got up where it's hard, which makes me think it's smart. It's like, maybe I don't want to leave that many tracks. I don't know. But then it darted back across the creek with a stutter step and then a big gouge on the other side in the bank.
And also on that left picture, I know people see that X with the sticks. That's not from anything. That's us.
Oh yeah, that was us just
there, so we wouldn't, because we had an incident where somebody stepped in one by accident because we had some.
Yeah, Bill actually stepped in one that day.
Yeah, so I don't want people thinking, oh, there's that legendary X on one of the tracks, and everybody get excited. That's us, just so we can mark them. And
they left the print and put an X on it. I wonder what that means.
Exactly. Yeah, I would too.
Landed. No, that's just our own protection there for us.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And look, you can even see like the little raccoon prints and stuff. Man, they are crystal clear in that dirt, in that sand. Just beautiful.
Hey,
that was a wet day there. So,
Joseph, or I'm sorry, not Joe. This one nut for Team Squirrel asked, have you ever worked with a piece of saran wrap to try to keep the bottom clean?
Like when you pull the cast, like keeping it clean?
I would assume he's talking about putting the saran wrap on and then you pour the cast in that.
No, I don't think I would ever do that, just because I feel like I might miss out on a detail or something of that nature.
Yeah, I'd be afraid the saran wrap would create something unnatural in the cast.
Yeah, a wrinkle or some kind of deviation.
Yeah, or something like that. It could.
But that is a great idea. I mean, I appreciate the thought process on that.
I have heard of people spraying like Pam or nonstick cooking spray in the track and then pouring it. I don't know. I've never done that myself, but I've heard. I've seen where people have started doing that.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, here's that stutter step I was talking about. So you got the left and the right before the creek. And the only reason I call it a stutter step, people, is because this thing was walking 5 foot and some change stride. Why would it just all of a sudden boom, boom right there?
Right there to the water.
Yeah, just boom, boom. Like we do that. We do that as people.
He had to slow down. He had to slow down before he got in a cold creek.
Well, it may have been trying to stock up on game on the other side. You don't know. I mean, you don't know what he was doing. He may not have been walking. He may have been easing through there hunting. Who knows? He may have stuttered. If it was close to the bridge, he may have gotten a little bit more of a stutter step. It may have been a car coming. You don't know what he was doing.
Love this dude. He knows what's doing. He knows what's going on.
Yeah, we think he took a little stutter step to hop the creek. Is what we think.
Only because if you go to the next one. Next one, Spencer.
That's a good thought right there.
So there we cast those tracks. Now we only brought one home because the other one turned literally. You ever seen a little box of feta cheese? You know, like the crumble cheese.
Yeah, just crumbled.
That's what it did. We picked it up and it just like crumbled. I was like, no. But
we tried
the other one. This one, I salvaged it. Just for that little middle part, it turned. But I'm so glad I was able to salvage that print because it's the same foot that left the gouge in the bank on the next cast that we cast. So I had a direct comparison from flat ground to what it does when it hits this bank. And so here's the bank. And it doesn't look like much, people, but there's a lot going on in this right here. There's a lot. And Brian and I, we were...
the best cast. I think it's the best cast we have.
Yeah.
it tells the biggest story, in my opinion.
Mhm.
We looked across the creek and saw that in the embankment there. We didn't know how we were going to pour it or how much casting material it was going to take to pour it,
Took a
but
lot.
Shane and I both knew that we had to pour it. We had to get
Mhm.
across there. We had to pour it, and I'm so glad we did. And we tried everything. Like we were building fires
Mhm.
after we did these things and putting coals on top of the cast and then covering them up, trying to get them to heat up.
So
Because
cold.
yeah, we're not in an area where we can just go grab hot water or anything like that. And like Shane was saying, it was winter time. It was pretty cold. So we were pretty nervous about this one across the bank, across the creek there in the bank. But it worked out great for us. So
Mhm.
How deep was that one?
Shane's probably got it right there.
Yeah, I've got it here. Hang on a second.
Well, just a rough estimate. I mean, you would think that if it jumped across the creek, it would have hit, and that's that.
Yeah.
So
Well, they keep going to the water.
see, that's the
So-
big toe, and that's the big toe sliding through the mud. It's
Holy
kind of
cow.
hard to tell. Here, you can tell like this too.
Yeah, that shows the motion right there.
You can see the big toe sliding through the mud and trying to grasp its footing.
Hold on, Shane. We're going to come back and look at these casts after we get rid of the video so that people can see them bigger.
Sorry, could y'all hear me good on there?
Yeah.
I think they're just crossing or getting water or what? Because the deer track come out after in that one, so you
Mhm.
know it didn't get the deer. So you think they're just going to get water, or
I think they're going through because it's a dirt road. It's actually called Mayhem, which is awesome. And I think, it's one of those, the fastest distance between 2 points is a straight line. And I think they're opportunistic like that. And I think that they use this area to cross,
Hey, cowboy.
going wherever, they're going. They're probably around the area. Brian seems to think that they're pretty close.
Is this a baby, a juvenile track?
Oh no, this sucker's
Oh, no.
20 inches.
20 inches.
How much?
20.
20.
That's 20 inches.
It's 20 inches.
Sure.
And I love this print. It shows you so many things. So you see right there.
Now I've
See
seen
right-
this. This is
Yeah.
great.
So this right here totally, I think, supports the mid-tarsal hinge or break theories. It totally makes sense. When it first hit that bank, we only got one heel print where the yellow is. That's the initial hit of the bank. Now, when it lunged forward, all of this, the top half, that's what went through the mud. All that went through the mud. The hill popped up and everything else went through the mud as it came up. I think that completely supports that.
Man,
Almost.
I've said this several times on different podcasts that we've done. And I've tried to tell people. I found a trackway a mile from where I'm sitting, or a little over a mile, where one of these things that came out of a big creek, we'll call it a river, but it came out and it went up a sandbar island and it got to the top and turned and walked down. But where that thing come out of the water, what you're talking about, that mid-tarsal break, everybody, when they talk about it, they show this foot flexing, upward, like when it steps, like in the picture, It shows it flexing. I can tell you 100%, that thing flexes, it breaks like where we would have an arch on our foot. That foot breaks, but instead of bowing up, it'll fold down too.
Mm-hmm.
Because where this one went up that steep slope, the hill was pretty, you could see it, but the front of the foot folded. It'd be just like if we were climbing and having to use our hands, and you were sticking your hands in the bank. It looked like the front of the foot folded and the toes were stuck more into the ground, like into the slope. And the foot, like it was near like we would have used our hands to climb, that thing's foot folded in the middle and it went up. There were several tracks that the both right and left both. The foot was folded in the middle to like grab on, and once it got up to the top and turned and was going kind of parallel, they flattened back out. But I can tell you 100%, I saw that with my own eyes.
That's awesome.
That foot will fold 100%. It will fold down as well as up.
Hell yeah. That's mid-tarsal hinge, man.
I love that right there. I love that kind of documentation. That's some deep shit. And, you know, man, if you think about it, can you imagine how many people walk right past stuff like this? And I mean, just even the size of it, your brain is not programmed to look at an indentation that big and go, oh, that's a footprint, you know?
It took us a long time, especially myself, just wrapping my head around that to recognize that. It's crazy. So we did set a camera out there after that time. We set it right there. And we only got, this is the only picture that we have remotely close to what we think we're looking for out there. Where's this eye shine. And yeah, it could be a deer. It could be whatever. But my good buddy Brian went out there and stood right on the bridge, and he got a camera, and the camera shot him the same position, the same exact, the camera has not moved. And so I was able to have a scale point with Brian's head. Sorry, Brian.
That's all right. My head's a bit.
So I could put the dots on his ears, and I just wanted to see how wide the eyes were. And I think that's possibly what we were looking for right there. I think it's a good possibility.
So what that is, guys, is the eye shine is on top of the little wood bridge on this road where we're getting these tracks. So what we think is this thing was coming down its normal path where we've been getting all these tracks, and this is an older trail camera, and maybe it heard the camera wind up or something, I don't know. And as it turned its head to look in that direction, we caught this blur of eye shine. So, and I believe the next screen may have me on the bridge as a comparison.
Yeah.
Hold on one sec. Yes.
Thank you.
I see you. Enraged possum, deadly weapon of whatnots. I see all the comments with the whatnots and everything. I get it. Aha. Okay. Carry on.
Stop interrupting. Spencer.
Or whatnot.
And everything.
And everything.
So
you can see
Brian,
the bridge.
There's Brian on the bridge, you know. I mean, I lined that up with his head. I put it over there with the eye shine. The eye shine is actually in movement. It's moving. I only know this because we've seen a car go by at night, and you can see, because people do cross through here, because there are a couple of houses back there. Not many. There's a handful of houses. These people live. I mean, they're just country folk, and they probably cut through there because they're doing the same thing the Bigfoot's doing.
Well, I got to ask, have y'all ever talked to any of these folks that live there?
Sure have. I talked to a gentleman. He's got 6 siblings that live in and around the area, and they've got a whole lifetime of stories and encounters. One was his nephew was actually hog hunting nearby with his 2 dogs, and he got real close to one, and it roared at him. His dogs took off. He hauled ass back to his truck and called his uncle to come get him his dad. He called his dad to come get him because he was so shook he could not drive. And I don't believe he found his dogs either. So, yeah, there's a history in this town nearby of what's going on out here.
Yeah, we talked about doing one of those town hall meetings, and it's a small town. When I say small town, there's 2 convenience stores and that's it. And I called the town hall and asked the lady about if they had some type of building where we could host this. And I think they have a American Legion or some Masonics Lodge or something. And she asked me, she said, what kind of event are you wanting to hold? And I said, you're going to laugh at me when I say this. I said, but we want to talk to your town about Bigfoot. And without missing a beat, she said, oh, yeah, we know we have Bigfoot in this area. It's been like that forever.
No
so,
shit.
It didn't even phase her. And matter of fact, she even said, if you want to do this, we won't even charge you for the space as long as it's for our
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
Awesome. Can I get a show of hands for people that have seen Bigfoot in this town? Yeah,
exactly. So we're gonna try to put that together this year. So
that's great right there.
Yeah. We're actually working on a documentary of this whole thing. So this was made April 2020. This is April of 2020, and these were great, and I love these tracks even more so because these are the direct tracks the guy I got accused of hoaxing by Cliff Berrickman because he didn't find them, because he didn't find shit. So he got mad. He took advantage of this tiny country guy that didn't have the best background that we thought was going to be a part of our team, and the way he thinks, and said that I jumped to each one of these, stomped it down with my Adidas, and then put the left or the right foot down in there and smashed it. And the guy believed Cliff, and Cliff took all of his damn evidence with him. Cliff took all this dude's evidence. So this guy shows up with evidence that he came out with us and helped cast, and Cliff took it. Took it all back with him. Why would he take it with him if it's fake?
Shane, tell us how you really feel. Keep going.
Oh, and then Cliff said he was going to put these tracks on his wall of shame in his museum.
Oh, God.
And I said, as long as he also puts a plaster cast of his pecker up there too.
I love him.
I'm telling you, I have determined that sugarcoating is not his strong suit.
you guys should watch the show that we did. We had Cliff on our show after all this went down.
No, before. It was before.
Oh yeah, it was. It was right before. He had made.
He was already. Yeah.
He made the accusations. We brought him on the show. Of course, he apologizes to us, and then Shane and I were like ready to just shred this dude. And then he apologizes. So then we kind of take it easy on him. And then I think it was like a month or two later, he comes back with this, and now the gloves are off, and Shane is ready to.
Now I just don't give a shit. I'm just tired of it.
Everybody's giving me hell for the
Cliff t-shirt.
The past couple weeks. I've been on a rant with like different people, and this shit, the drama
It's
just
so
gets me.
Dumb.
It just gets me.
So once I first got wind at Cliff, because the guy that went out there with us, it was because of him that got to Cliff. And that little guy that went with us, he's a little bitty guy. He's a redneck. I call him the orang redneck because he's really small. Kind of like the orang pendek. But, yeah, the orang redneck. The poor guy, all his shit got stolen right out from under him. I mean, Jesus, he didn't even get a reach around this guy.
He'd have been better off with Brian.
Yeah.
So I dug that track up. I dug the fifth one up. I still have it. Darby Orcutt told me to put it in food saving type of, like mason jars, keep it in a dark, cool place, and just put it on the back burner until we can find a way to test that. eDNA is not part of testing this soil. He actually has a guy that looks for genetic material through sediment. Well, here you go, buddy. I got tons of it. Let's do it.
Misty,
so I dug up that track. I'm thinking, what's that?
You know what just popped in my head, Misty?
I bet their group chats are as funny as ours.
No, what popped in my head?
Oh, yeah.
Talking about storing it in a container in a cool, dark place. You realize after this show where Spencer's Booger Rock's going to be, he's going to put a container Find the darkest, coolest place and put it.
It's cryovac, cryo sealed.
But dude, seriously, these things got an epidermis, you know, and everything like us, and we're constantly shedding skin cells all the time. If they're walking on dirt and stuff, there's got to be skin shells coming off, man. That dirt's got to act like it's some kind of like loofah or something. I mean, we dust up our house because of us, because we're just dirty motherfucker. No, I'm just kidding. Because, you know, we always shed skin cells, you know. I mean, it just makes sense.
Yeah.
Go away.
But I love this right here, because this is another instance of it being tissue, something being poked into your tissue. And that right there tripped me out, because I was like, what is this hole, you know? And it didn't really click until I built a clay dam around it, and I poured rubber silicone so I could replicate this track, because I'm actually going to do that with all of ours. So everybody in our group, we all have copies of these things. Plus we can take them instead of the originals, and, you know, because they break, you can't replace them. That's just it. Can't get on Google or Amazon and fucking order another 16-inch track. Yeah. And so, oh, hey, look, there's my foot up there, number 2. That's my foot. See the big toe? See the big dent in my toe?
Yes.
Yeah, you see that? That was from my toe hitting a rock. I don't have a dent in my toe. So that just tells me, so 1, 3, and 4, this is just showing tissue, man. This is tissue. This is tissue. It's just like when you were a kid and you're on the playground, and if, I don't know, other states, but in Texas, we always had those little river pebbles. They were tiny. They covered the playground. And if you sat down and you're talking to your friends and you had your palms down in the rocks and you lifted them up, you would have a couple of rocks sticking in your palm. Yeah. It's the same shit. It's the same thing. It's not going to be there forever, and your skin's going to pop back out. But if you were to do that in the mud and touch a rock and you cast it, it's going to show that.
Yeah, but it just goes toward showing that's a living thing.
That's right. You know? It's organic. Yeah, for sure. I like when I did the clay dam thing, though, because that was cool. That with the clay, it looks like it's a Iceman stuck in ice or something.
That's kind of interesting. Where are you getting what kind of silicone is it?
It's a 2-part mixture. You can get it off of Amazon. You know what? I'll post what I have to everybody. So I think it's a great thing to use. I know Debbie used a 2-part mixture that almost kind of ended up like a clay kind of thing. And you just kind of, that stuff works too. But this one, I did it this way just because, I don't know, I wanted to catch every detail, and I wanted it really thick. So I built that clay dam because I want it to last, which I think it has. I think we've made 20-something replicas, maybe more. But you know how many I've sold? 2 for donations. I'm not going around peddling these fucking things. I've given these things. Go ahead.
Have you ever used hydraulic cement?
No, I've never used that.
You can get it at Lowe's and Home Depot. I use it all the time to patch like sidewalks and stuff like that. But it's very fine. It's very quick setting. And it's got a deep expansion rate. Like it spreads out and fills in the gaps. You might want to give it a try while you're messing with this stuff and see how it does.
Spencer's talking dirty over here, man. Wow.
I know.
Let's get some of that.
The spreading out stuff.
That's tough. So.
Yeah, so there it is, man. That little hole. I pulled the rubber silicone mold off of it, and that is what was sticking in its foot. It's either a rock or a stick or something that was in the creek. And when it walked across it, that's the indention and impression it left. So when I poured it, that's what was there.
So Shane's got a.
Hey, dude, I was at work. I brought these to work because remember, Spencer, we were talking about that earlier. You know, I got to measure in the thousandths. You know, when I'm working on. He's
got a digital micrometer out, and it's a Starrett, no less.
Yeah, buddy.
High-end diagnosis. We're going deep into Bigfoot diagnosis.
Don't think they weren't clowning me when I brought that shit in.
I bet.
Oh, dude, yes. So that print, that fifth toe was just barely touching the ground. And I started thinking about that. And I only did that because my wife's friend Amy came over, and she's a very pretty woman. Don't get me wrong, but she's always talking about how hideous her feet are. And I was like, man, let me see these feet. And she took it off, and she's got these Velociraptor pinky toes that stick up on either side. And I was like, I said, will you stand on my fireplace mantle on a nice hard surface so I can take a picture and I can use this as a comparison? Because you got me thinking about stuff now.
Yeah, you were thinking about stuff. Okay.
I don't have a foot fetish, man.
Yeah.
So what if this thing's got a toe like that and it just barely touched the ground because it's kind of, I don't know.
Velociraptor.
I cannot believe she agreed to that.
I know. She's like, I have Shrek feet. I'm like, damn.
I can't believe he's telling the story on YouTube. Hey, put your Velociraptor fucking foot up here. And
oh, she knows. She knows. She knows. She's proud of it.
Here we go.
So out there in the creek,
Man.
man, there's other things out in the creek too. Out there, those are gator tracks. Back there, that's a swampy, marshy area that only fills up when it gets really, really rainy. And when it's dry, you can walk pretty good ways in there. And there's a line of persimmons. I'm talking about like a drove of these things back there that I never noticed until October, because that's when the fruit comes bearing. And Tim and I were out there, and I was like, saw this big line, and I was like, "Oh, damn alligator out here." And we had heard it from the local fishermen that there is an alligator out there. Well, he exists. There he is. We got
it. Now see, in the cryptid world, that's got to be like a chupacabra or a dog man or.
Yeah. That alligator's even missing a toe on the back foot too. One of his toes are missing. So he's probably had a hell of a time out there. I don't know. Okay, so this steer stopped. This longhorn, it stopped. And it's just like in stone cold stance. And you'll know why with the next slide. Boom.
Let's let them see what that is.
What is that, people? What do y'all think that is?
Kind of looks like a hog.
Okay.
I think it's a mountain
Is
lion.
it a mountain lion?
Okay.
Close.
That's what I thought at first. At first, I thought it was one of the biggest effing mountain lions I've ever seen. And then
now, you guys are familiar. You guys are familiar with Oklahoma and Netflix and Joe Exotic and the Lion Show, Tiger King, and all that stuff, right?
What?
Yeah.
No, that is not.
So this is about 30 miles as a crow flies from his facility.
Mm-hmm.
And we thought this was looking kind of big to be a mountain lion compared to that longhorn.
Because, you have a direct comparison.
We sent this photo to a guy that was on that show because he is a friend of a friend. And his immediate response was, that's a African female lion. And he
Shut up.
And he wanted to know where it was at. So I contacted the local game warden. Yeah, I contacted the local game warden, and I was talking to him on the phone as I sent him this picture, and I said, I'm going to send you something, and I want you to look at it. And as soon as he got the text, he was like, "You got to be kidding me." And I said, "No, sir." I said, "This is real." And he said, "Do not release this to anything on the internet. Do not talk about this." He said, "Let us investigate it." So we sent a ping to where this camera was set up at, and he just kind of disappeared. We sat on this photo for probably close to a year, and reached out to the Oklahoma Department of Wildlife to see where they were on this, if they have caught this thing, they figured out anything about it. They went silent on us, so we finally decided to go ahead and share it with the world because we thought it was pretty important because there's a lot of people that fish there. It's a big fishing pond or lake, I guess to me it's a pond.
Public hunting land.
Yeah, it's public access. And so we were concerned that there'd be some kids or something sitting there, fishing or whatever, and you got a African lion on the loose in your area. People need to know about it. So
Hell no.
Yeah. Public,
Hey.
public hunting.
Stuff like that running around. That's not
Hey,
fair.
Spencer, I see someone said it could have heard an acorn drop or something, so it stopped talking about the steer. Well, the only reason the steer's in there is because at 6:36 a.m. on 5/12 of 2020, both of those pictures were taken.
exact same time.
So that steer was within 60 seconds of this lion, so it definitely probably saw.
Man, that's amazing right there. That's amazing.
That's
Hey, man.
That's steer trying to figure out what in the heck is that in front of me. So
And that damn thing's hunting right there. Look at the head; it's aligned with the spine. Ears are pinned back. I've got 4 cats at home. That lion is hunting. Yep. Hopefully not me.
Well,
it does make us think about things afterwards, though.
Oh, but you know what, though?
Oh,
I got to tell you guys this. Oh, my God, you're going to flip on this. So that damn lion picture, I joined this Big Cats and Panther Lore of the South group page or some shit like that, some long, drawn-out thing. So I joined it because I was like, I want to share this lion picture because we decided to share it because Brian called me one day and said, hey, dude, a lion's been spotted in the middle of 35 in Oklahoma. I was like, if a lion's been spotted on 35 in Oklahoma, we're posting this damn picture and getting it out there. So I put it on this page, and these people started bashing the shit out of me. Oh, we already seen this before, man. That's a golden retriever. I was like, that is not a golden retriever. And I battled with these idiots until they kicked me off. I was like, I could not believe these people thought that was a damn golden retriever, man. It doesn't even look like it. Oh, God.
What is this that we're looking at here?
Here's one of the footprints. So Darren Smith and Aaron Chase Bailey camped out in Sam Houston National Forest back in 2021. And they cleaned up part of the Lone Star Trail. They like raked it kind of clean, although there's still some needles and stuff there. They kept it pretty clean. And about, I think it was past 2 a.m. in the morning, something like that, they found these tracks. Now, I don't know if anybody's letting their kid walk the Lone Star Trail that late at night in the Sam Houston National Forest. And yeah, it could be. You would think it was human or something. But look at that right there.
The flex, the crease.
Yeah, that crease right there. And in his track pictures, you can see where that crease is. It's pushed the mud. It's pushed the mud. It showed similarities to what we've cast in Oklahoma. It's also shown similarities to what Shane Lee's cast in the thicket just not a couple months ago under that bridge that he checked. I don't know if you saw what Shane Lee casted. Beautiful, man. A few of them going under the bridge, across the water, up, like digging in, like you were saying, Greg, like they were digging up into the hill right there to cross. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. It's more similarities that I can see. I can see it. And Darren and Aaron, they did a great job on this, man. And again, it walked in look, you can see where the mud pushed. See?
Yeah. Man, for such a small foot, the heel is really wide and the indentation is really deep. I mean, I guess you don't know exactly how wet the mud is, but look how wide the heel is compared to the ball of the foot.
Hey, and look at all the toes. They're kind of,
yeah,
from the heel. I don't know. That's another similarity.
Lay your hand out on something and kind of squint your hand up and look at it. It kind of like draw it up. You know what I'm saying? Like if your foot.
Exactly. And
the toes
in that mud.
It'd be like it's stepped and like its foot kind of like squinched up. Looks like the front pulled the mud back.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
which again, go ahead, Jeff. Go ahead, Spencer.
I was just going to say, you can see the indentation right there, that crease where the ball of the foot meets.
Mm-hmm. That's mid-tarsal that supports that in my eyes. I'm like, that's like mid-tarsal stuff. See, there we go again, mid-tarsal. It's awesome. They did such a great job. That's such a small print. It's small. And that would make sense for, we always hear about juveniles or young ones. They're making these mistakes and they're out closer to where we are more than the adults or whatever are. I don't know, man. Just like this guy was like playing or something. Like, I don't give a shit what mom says. I'm going to Lone Star Trail anyway. Okay. Yeah.
In the middle of the Lone Star Trail.
That's right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Shane, let's see. Misty, can you make Shane in the middle so that his image is bigger and we can look at some of these castings?
She's taking a break.
Yeah.
She's in my
I forget how to do this. She always does this. Solo layout. Let's see. Oh, there it is.
There it is.
Hey, it's the Shane Show.
Leave him like
You're
that.
high definition. Let's see some of those casts, please.
Sure. I'm going to get the originals out because that's the best stuff. You know what I mean?
Well, if you got them right there, I mean, don't, you know.
I got them all right here. But here's that one that broke, Spencer. This will kind of put it in perspective for you.
Look at that.
Compared to my torso.
Is that the 20-inch?
That's a 20-inch, sir. This was the one before the bank, where it went into the bank. And the reason why I'm kind of glad, I'm not glad. I mean, it broke, so I'm going to use it. So look how flat that toe is. That's walking on flat ground right there. That's what that is. Okay. Now, when it went into the bank, this is the same exact foot. That same exact foot went into the bank. Now look at that big toe. It's moving, right? And not only that, here's the flat part of the foot. What is this toe doing, man?
Yeah, digging in.
It's digging in. It's bending. It's bending. As opposed to this, look. Flat, bending. I mean, that's movement. That's movement, man.
That's impressive right there. What is that, 40 pounds of plaster of Paris?
Yeah, it's heavy. It's heavy, man. And you can see all the toes going through the mud right here. You can literally see where that big toe, like it almost got its footing right here, and then there's just one more little slip. It's amazing. Okay.
Yep.
This is outstanding. Okay. And
I agree.
And here's the deal, man. Like we want to share these things with people. All right. These replicas that we've made of the April track with the rock or the stick in there, man, I've given these replicas to so many people and it's the people that I know that are serious about this and trying to figure this thing out, because I think they should have it. We want to share this with the community without a fee and get this thing figured out and chip away at it and not be first. I don't give a shit. I don't care that we have all these tracks. There's still more to learn. There's still more to do. Just talking with Greg right now, like I could bounce stuff off with that guy on tracks for hours, because I think he's kind of in that mindset where I'm at a little bit. It's just that, and that's wonderful. That's who you want to team up. That's who you want to team up with. That's who you want to have in your in your push on the subject matter. I love this right here, dude. Look at that. Look at that leaf. It's just.
Yeah, you can see it. Yeah.
Yeah. You can really see the details in this.
Hey, y'all, Greg and Misty, y'all keep them talking. I got to let the dogs out for a minute, guys. Keep going.
Do you ever carry, maybe if you had some welding rods or something, you knock the flux off of them, and like when you go to cast that, put you a few welding rods like lengthways, and take you a pair of dot cutters and cut you some and rigid that up where your plaster won't bust. You know what I'm saying? It won't break as easy. You'll it's kind of like putting rebar in concrete. You know, if you could, get your plaster poured and you just tap you some, lay them down in that, maybe 2 or 3 long ways and a couple sideways and let the plaster harden with that rebar in it. Well, it ain't rebar, but like metal, like a welding rod, and rigid it up some.
We did that in a couple. I come from the fence industry, so I use steel ties on chain link fence, and so we laid a couple of those in there, and some of the early ones that we did.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with you. It does help. The problem we had with the one that Shane was holding was the temperature. We just could not get the thing to set. It didn't break because it was weak. We just couldn't get the mix right, and we tried, like I said earlier, about adding heat to it, things like that.
We probably lost almost as much as we took home from that trip.
And
we lost a lot.
As a group, we have what, Shane? Close to 13 to 15 of these tracks.
I think there's 13. Yeah.
So it's not like we got, I got 3 originals here at my house. So
yeah. Well, guys, I figure y'all were kind of where I was with these things. I put up with them for years, for about 9 years before I could ever see one. I had, you name it, any kind of encounter you could think of. And I had these things, come right up to me. I've had them scream, roar, follow me out, bluff charge me, but they wouldn't pop out where I could lay eyes on one. We'd found footprints, but I still couldn't see one. I couldn't physically lay eyes on it in person. And it was always that, is there somebody messing with me? What's going on? And this and that, till I finally saw one. And then when I saw one, it washed all that away. I knew, okay, all this that I've been dealing with it's real. Even though you're overwhelmed with the evidence that you've got, till you lay eyes on one yourself, it's still, you've got a little bit of doubt there.
I agree.
I would agree with that too.
But these prints, man, like I've just been infatuated with them since we started casting them in. And for someone to accuse me of something without seeing what we just went through, okay, we just went through this presentation deck of our evidence. I've always known all this stuff, and we just never presented it. And to be accused and have people follow it, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Y'all got some cool evidence, guys. I mean, really, that's really, really cool. And what people don't realize, I mean, look, I got it. There's people out there that are skeptic. There's people out there that are not even on the fence. They just want to scream, oh, it's not real, it's fake, blah, 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 blah. Well, guys, just the people that I know. If okay, you want me to find you, name the person that you tell me you trust the most. Do you want a cancer surgeon? Do you want a chief of police? You want a sheriff? You want a lawyer? A regular doctor? Name that person, a priest, rabbi, whatever. Give me about 2 days. I'll find a whole conglomerate of people that seen these things. It'll lay their hand on a Bible and tell you what they've saw, what they've witnessed, this and that. And here's what I tell them too. People say, well, where's your proof? Where's your proof? Okay. You ask those folks, have you researched this any? And they're like, no, I don't have to. I don't believe in it. Well, what I always challenge people to do is, okay, tell you what, if you don't believe it, if you think it's all a bunch of crap, that it's all made up, go actually dive into it, research, do some reading, watch some shows that are legitimate, normal people that don't have anything to gain. They've only got something to lose by coming forward. You listen to these people, you read back and you research it, and I promise you, even a skeptic, if you'll research it and have an open mind, it won't be long. You'll be a believer like the other people, because there is a mountain. Don't look at the evidence that we don't have. Look at the evidence we do have.
That's a good question there, Spencer, that he's asking, or she, I'm not sure who that is, but we don't know for certain. We do know that there's a ton of traffic on this creek between the deer, the wild hogs, possums, coons, things like that.
Everything.
So we don't imagine that they would hold up very long. Our best guess is we think maybe 3 to 5 days. Sometimes we've felt like There's been a couple situations where we were there maybe the day after the track was made because they're so fresh with no other traffic in them. But we've had some that you can tell that have been there. Like the first 20-inch track that we found.
Oh yeah, that thing.
Track, it looked like it had been there for a while and it had collected water, like rainwater in it, and that's why it was so soft. And the deer stepped in it and made those impressions in it. That track
dried out and cracked. And
yeah, it may have been there for 5 days or so. The first two with the girl, I think we were pretty hot on that one. I think it was probably maybe 48 hours if I had to guess. So,
yeah. I know. I think in April, I think we were really close, dude, because and I'll have to go back and look at the weather when it rained, because it had rained and there was leaf litter everywhere, and it had stepped into the leaf litter because I noticed that one of the leaves were like this on the toe, and then it came up on the surface right here. It's like it got mashed into there, and it was a green leaf. It hadn't been sitting there long. So
yeah,
there's definitely a time frame we could figure out on that.
And another thing too, we want to make sure we point out, and this kind of goes unnoticed sometimes, is I think people think, oh, these guys are finding all these tracks and they're just so easy, things like that. But you can look at that timeline that Shane prepared on our presentation. That's several years, and that's not every time we go we see tracks, right? We don't document all the times, and Shane and I have talked about this and how we got to get better at that. We need to start documenting all the trips that we made there where we found absolutely nothing, you know, because people think, man, either these guys are the luckiest SOBs in the world or they're hoaxing it, right? But there's so many trips, and this is an hour and 45 minutes from my house. It's an hour and a half away from Shane.
Oh, that's like 2 hours and some change for me.
Okay. And so we're taking time out of our day away from our families, and we're meeting there, and we're finding just zero evidence. So many times. I guarantee if we've been there 100 times, 98 of them we found nothing, you know. And so people don't think about that. They just think, oh, these guys are just finding tracks. These guys, maybe they're really good trackers, or no, we got lucky. We got lucky because we put in a lot of work. You know, there's a lot.
Brian followed a lead. He was lead hunting. He found a good one, and it's produced all these years. Yeah, we've been out there a gazillion times, but that's called patience and persistence, and that's what it takes. If you find a semi-hot area, stick to it, man. You can go off to other places. We do all the time. But stick to that area.
Well, on this show, I'm not trying to prove to anybody. None of us are trying to prove for a fact, hey, Bigfoot exists, you know, come look at all the evidence and let us convince you. This is more for the people that are going to watch this stuff anyway, and just trying to, you know, show people that are out there doing it and show them what they've found and everything. But you're absolutely right about whenever you get on one of these and you start putting up, okay, here's 7 years worth of stuff, and this is what we found. It looks like, oh, they're finding stuff all the time, every day that they go out there. And, you know, we probably all should do better about being like, no, it was a year and a half in between this one and that one with what happened, you know? I mean, but again, we're not necessarily trying to prove it. The stuff that you guys show, even on this little slideshow thing, I mean, just looking at it, that's way more impressive, and an amount of attention to detail trying to really show what it is that we're looking at than most people do, I think. So kudos to you on that. I mean, that's a lot of work. It's a lot of work that goes into this kind of stuff just to show on a YouTube channel about Bigfoot, you know?
Yeah. Oh, and I'm also willing to help out anyone. Like if I know Cindy Goodbreak, she sent me some audio. She's got like 70 files. I'm like, holy crap, I'm gonna have to quit my job. But you know, I like to help people, man. Like pictures. I mean, I'm also working on this, man. I know AI has come into play with a lot of things these days, but I also think it could be used for good. And I'm just looking for that sweet spot using AI and pixel restoration to try to get some of these people, because I've seen some pictures. Yeah, they're blurry, but you can see something there. I want to clear that up enough to say yay or nay, without
Yes.
having to take another picture the next day or, to show it's not there. Just technology, man. I want to use it for good.
You've got to start using the LiDAR on your phone to like really show the high definition, the full thing where you can tilt it around.
Wrote that down.
Anyway, hey guys, we are at 2 hours. Do you have anything else that you want to add?
I haven't seen the little people, so.
No, I haven't seen little people. Hey, everybody just be kind to one another and share and obviously look at evidence. And I don't know, man. Be careful what you watch on TV.
You're married now. You need to change your last name, Debbie Jones.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
She should put a 2 after there, too. I know she's not a second, but it would be great. So I can go DB2. DP2. Sing my jingle. Joe.
Jingle.
Joe Parker's funny, man. First time we met him.
Have you been seeing the comments on the side, Shane? He's been making fun of the whole show about how we're taller on TV.
Yeah, he walked up to Brian and I, and he was like, "I thought you guys were taller."
And we both were like, "We thought you were younger."
I mean, Joe's like, he's big as a Bigfoot anyway. I mean, he's
hilarious, man.
He's big on man.
Parker. Always got to weigh in.
All
right. Squirrel, are we missing any questions?
I'm looking. Checking.
Thank you, Sharon. Thank you.
If you guys got any questions, go ahead. And
I saw this question earlier about the thumbs located on the hand, and I honestly I couldn't tell you because the hands were like this, so I couldn't see if they were up, if they were, I honestly couldn't tell you on that. I just remember the fingers and the hands like this on the side.
Hey, wait, I got a couple quick things. Have you ever seen any hand tracks in the areas, like especially knuckles, where they might be crawling on knuckles? And what are your thoughts on Dogman?
Oh,
I've seen the hand and thumb. I have a photo of this that we took at Bison years ago.
Hey, Brian, was that on the cliff going up to 96?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, dude. That was something climbing up. It's steep. I mean, we were climbing up it. We were struggling, but this thing went up it. Big gouges.
Kind of across from where Shane was talking earlier about the rock bar.
Mm-hmm.
Dogman. We have a founding member, Jacob Gomez, incredible guy. His Dogman encounter story, to me, is the greatest story ever. If you don't believe in Dogman, when you talk to Jacob, you will afterwards. I can tell you that.
Where is his encounter out there that people can listen to it?
It's on one of our shows. Yeah, you can
on one of our shows. He's been on Dogman Encounters Radio. Where else is he? He's been on a few shows. What they saw was awesome because it just wasn't him. It was him. It was a truck full of guys going to work, coming from Waco on 35. I believe they were going to Dallas.
I believe so.
They saw something big and black and dark up off the road, and they pulled off to go look at it. And that's what was up there. It was bleeding from the mouth. They didn't even get out of the truck. They were just kind of looking down at it. Like, you listen to Jacob's description of its mouth and its head and the blood, it'll give you the chills. The muscle.
Yeah.
And then they were scared. They, of course, had to go to work. They weren't even, supposed to be doing that. But on the way back, they were like, let's stop and look at that thing again. It was gone.
And this is early 90s, I believe. So no camera phone.
No
or anything
phone.
like that. Yeah.
Early 90s. So he was probably early 90s. He was probably between 18 and 21 years old.
Yeah.
If I'm thinking, because he's around my age. So
I mean,
All
back
right.
then, the Beast of Bray Road was probably around, but like everybody being fanatical about the Dogman stuff, that just
Mhm.
wasn't talked about in the early 90s. So it's kind of cool.
I
I'll
would
have
like
to go.
to look into it.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'd have to go back and look at that. That's on y'all's YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
On
Just look up
yeah,
Jacob Gomez.
Okay.
Jacob Gomez. That's our dude. Shiniest guy in the swamp.
Shiniest guy.
Mhm.
Tiniest guy, smells the best, got the best hair.
Man,
This
we
dude
went to
showered.
Falk. We went to Falk in the summer. It was sweating. Everybody had a case of the red ass. Okay, everybody was sweating that much.
Yep.
This dude pulls out a shower in the middle of everybody. It goes up. It's got a bucket or something, and he just disappears.
A bladder
He
bag.
Yeah, that's what it was. He came out. This dude looked like he was fixing to go to the club. I was like, dude, we're in the swamps. Shiniest
He's
guy. in the
spraying on
swamp.
cologne, body spray, and all kinds of stuff. And
They
we're
probably
over
could have
just,
got him a female squatch that day for sure, man. He was pimping.
I think that's why the boogers are attracted to the female. Like, well, Debbie's in here. Like Sisters of the Moon, they've always got activity. It's because they smell better. They smell better and look better.
Yeah. Bunch of stinky dudes. Stinky dudes.
He just skipped right over you, didn't he, Misty?
Yeah, Johnny.
He does not smell good. They were trying to give me hell about not taking a bath for 3 days. I said, but did I stink?
Missy's got some kind of dry spray she was spritzing on. She's like, no, smell it. I was like, no, you've been out here for 3 days. Damn if she didn't smell good.
Oh my God.
All right, y'all. We are gonna jump off here. Everybody, keep in mind about the meet and greet. I will say on the meet and greet thing, we're getting pounded. We're probably over 100 people now. So I don't know. We're gonna have to spread tents out as far as we can get them spread apart and everything like that. But if you want to go to the meet and greet, please let us know so we can account for you. First weekend of April, I think it is. Isn't that what it is? Yeah. First weekend of April, LBL. And let us know about that. And everybody check out Cryptoholics. Definitely go get on their Facebook page and subscribe. Southern Bigfoot Alliance, SBA. I'm always like his affiliate.
Small Business Association. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, okay. That's what it is.
yeah.
You guys, y'all hang on backstage for just a minute and we'll run the outro and be back there in a second. Everybody check out Squatch and Holler Roger, our brother. He just reached 1,000 subscribers. If you're not on his channel, definitely go hit that. And of course, Sawdust Beast and Discover Sasquatch, Mark and Rebecca Green. We really got to make a thing that just lists all the people, Barry Browning, all that stuff. I can't remember them all. But anyway, we will see you guys maybe next week. Maybe, probably, whatever. We'll come up with something. See y'all then. Bye.
Love everybody.
Bye.
Squirrel.
Hey, y'all. Hey, Spencer. We're swapped around again.
Huh?
We're swapped around again. Hold on.
Yep, I know you do it on purpose.